13 Investigates reporter Sierra Putman also spent the day going through documents about the property's past.
Yeah, Sierra took a look into these claims from Richmond city leaders who tell us this could have been avoided.
This court order from 2020 shows the city of Richmond has been trying to sound the alarm for years. The Richmond Unsafe Building Commission actually issued an order to repair, demolish, or vacate in July 2019. And this 8-page document even includes a quote where the owner said his properties were, quote, out of control. The city was concerned specifically about a fire hazard, noting insufficient fire suppression. The feds even conducted an air plume study because there was concern a fire would result in possible evacuations of the area. In 2021, the city took over some of the property.
We took a portion of it from the business owner in a tax sale to hold that person accountable for this cleanup. They are still accountable for everything on this site, for every bit of the mess on this site. They're responsible for the fire that has happened and all of the damage that's ensued afterward.
During my research, I also learned the Indiana Department of Environmental Management investigated the property in 2013. A civil penalty was issued for tens of thousands of dollars back then. The state found there were several flammable materials on this property. And today, I also reached out to the owner for comment. So far, no response from him. Sierra Putman, 13 Investigates.
So that evacuation order basically is a half-mile radius surrounding that warehouse fire. Affects all of these neighborhoods where I'm standing right now. We have been wearing masks all day, trying to kind of stay out of this area as much as we can. And that's why you can see haze filled with toxins from that fire is still covering Richmond. More than 24 hours after a plastics recycling plant caught fire, you can still see the danger hovering over houses in Richmond. A dark cloud of toxic smoke pushed around by the wind.
They're saying it's going to be like this for days.
What you can't see, these neighbors smell burning plastic chemical fumes.
You can definitely smell it right now. It's worse than yesterday.
You can smell the plastic. It's nasty.
Despite evacuation orders, Josh Beavers chose to stay. His wife and child left along with 2,000 neighbors, most staying with friends or family, a Red Cross shelter at a church available too. This is the evacuation zone covering a half-mile radius around the warehouse. Health leaders say here especially fine particles in the air just aren't safe to breathe, can cause burning eyes, bronchitis, chest tightness, asthma.
Oh, I'm smelling some nasty stuff. It feels like almost the end of the world. Way.
Scary for Steve Cox, who lives right near the fire. It's why his pastor, checking on church members, came to help.
I'm worried about the after effects, how it's going to affect my lungs, you know, because I'm already having lung problems as it is, you know, so I'm just a little worried about that. I wasn't going to evacuate, and then it just started getting like this.
It's a real horrible, toxic smell. It's just bad. So we're going to take him to our house. We live about 2 miles out of this area, and a lot safer area.
He makes me feel pretty good. He takes care of me. He's a pretty good old boy. Because I have nowhere else to go, so he's helped me out a lot.
As for coming back home,
I don't know. Doesn't look like anytime soon. It's looking pretty rough.
His neighborhood's in limbo. And to be clear, we have seen a lot of people who have simply chosen not to evacuate. In fact, at that Red Cross shelter, only one family, they tell me, stayed overnight. Again, most people, if they did stay away overnight, went with family or friends. But health leaders say because of that haze, which has really been swirling because of the wind in this neighborhood, it is just not safe to come home just yet.
Well, things are slowly going back to normal this week in Richmond after last week's massive warehouse fire. Families are returning home, students back in class today. But our 13 Investigates reporter Sierra Putman continues to dig into the property's past. Tonight, you'll see the images that prompted the city to sound the alarm years ago and what the owner had to say about the plastic piling up.
Firefighters in Richmond first started battling this blaze last Tuesday. A billowing black cloud of smoke led to the evacuation of thousands of residents. Richmond's fire chief declared the blaze officially out a week later. 13 investigates discovered in 2019. City leaders warned something like this could happen, showing the city's Unsafe Building Commission images of stacks and bundles of recycling materials inside and outside, as well as buildings with deteriorating roofs and crumbling walls. During a hearing in September 2019, Deputy Chief Douglas Gardner told the commission utilities were not connected.
We have no electric for emergency lighting. We have no electric for smoke detection. We have no electric or water for fire protection systems.
The city worried if these materials caught fire, flames would get out of control. The fire department created a response plan and asked the federal agency to complete an air plume study showing where smoke could go.
So when we look at this, we look at possible evacuation areas, and we've done this for 4 different wind directions.
An evacuation that did come. More than 3 years later, the owner, Seth Smith, told the Unsafe Building Commission several factors led to the issues on the property. In 2019, he said the materials accumulated in part because he got ill and had to file for bankruptcy.
I've always been a good neighbor, but during that period of time, I will admit openly, got out of control. I have a plan now, been working on that plan.
He told the commission he was working to correct the problems and selling and shipping the materials abroad.
It's not going to happen, in a short period of time. This is a long process, but I am dedicated to the process.
Aerial images appear to show things were slowly improving. Take a look at this 2021 aerial photograph from the county's own property record. That year, the city took over part of the property. This 2023 image from Google Earth shows even more ground and clearer paths. Progress, but not enough to stop this costly inferno. Sierra Putman, 13 Investigates.
Well, thanks to Sierra there. And that interim fire chief tells 13 Investigates that 911 calls from the public alerted firefighters to the scene. Now, to the best of his knowledge, the broken fire suppression and alert systems were never updated.
Tonight marks 1 month since that massive fire sent a huge plume of smoke over the city of Richmond.
There have been a lot of concerns brought to light since then because of the toxic chemicals released in the air for days following the fire at the plastics recycling plant. And next week, the city plans to take their next steps in the cleanup process.
So tonight, our John Duran caught up with people in Richmond reflecting on a chaotic month.
There's still a faint smell of burnt plastic just across the street from the old My Way trading warehouse, which on April 11th erupted into flames, burning plastic and sending toxic smoke up into the air. The city of Richmond says there's still a lot of work to be done, and residents and business owners nearby agreed, but they're adjusting back to normal life after a chaotic month. Tuesday, April 11th is a day Jenny Tinkle won't forget.
We had a customer walk in and I was helping him at the counter, and he'd been there for just a couple of minutes, and finally he said, "Did you know the building down the street is on fire?"
Her business just across the street from a blazing warehouse.
We knew that it was going to be a big one when we saw that.
What came in the days and weeks afterwards, Tinkle can only describe one way.
It was a little bit chaotic. Our parking lot was full of emergency responders.
Less than a mile away, Sandy Carpenter tells me she remembers April 11th starting out pleasant.
I was sitting outside working. It was a pretty day. And I heard the neighbors say, "Oh my God."
She's lived in this home for more than 40 years.
Smoke just billows and billows and billows.
Carpenter says she had no choice but to sit put within the evacuation zone.
I stayed in my house.
One thing that's stuck with residents is a new appreciation for first responders.
I don't know how they did it, but they were able to keep a lot of homes and businesses, free from the fires.
In part of a statement sent to us, Richmond Mayor Dave Snow commended the hard work of first responders who put this blaze out after several days, and also highlighted the resiliency of this community as they continue to work past this devastating fire. In Richmond, John Duran, 13 News.
Marks, we've now got the environmental test results for the Richmond warehouse fire that raged for days. Approximately 2,000 people had to be evacuated during that blaze.
Yeah, it was national news, and tonight we're learning about the chemicals that were found at the site of that blaze. Were they dangerous? 13 Investigates reporter Sierra Putman has reviewed the findings from the EPA and joins us now with what she learned. What did they show?
Well, they show that there are some elevated levels of some metals, including zinc, aluminum, as well as lead. But a local researcher tells me the results should not worry people who live nearby. The EPA's website for the Midway Trading Warehouse fire shows the agency collected 54 soil and debris samples back in May. 29 were tested specifically for asbestos. None was detected. Another 25 samples were tested for a variety of other substances. The EPA found some elevated levels of metals and volatile organic compounds. I asked IU researcher Gabriel Filippelli to take a look at those results.
This report is largely about the site itself, so they're trying to get the site cleaned up so that it can be safely reused for some other purpose. So people near that site needn't be concerned about that.
I also reached out to Richmond's fire chief. He says he spoke to the EPA today and he came away with the same conclusion. So people who live nearby, not something they really need to worry about. Anne Marie and Scott.
This morning, we are getting a better idea about plans to clean up hazardous waste from the site of a massive warehouse fire in Richmond.
So the city says that the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, estimates the process will cost $2.8 million. The EPA cleanup at 2 properties involved will be paid for through the agency's funds.
And there are no plans to dispose of those hazardous materials at local landfills. The city confirms the materials will go to other appropriate hazardous waste facilities. The EPA will conduct air monitoring around the site during the cleanup, which is expected to start sometime next month.
At the fire at Midway Trading Warehouse sparked back in April. It burned for several days and sent these plumes of black toxic smoke into the air.